Most people try to defeat manipulators with better arguments. That is exactly why they lose. Because manipulation was never about truth. It was always about control. And control only works when it can predict you. Break that predictability, and the dynamic changes instantly. Today, I'll show you 7 things manipulators simply cannot handle. Not loud tactics, not dramatic confrontations, quiet shifts that remove their leverage completely. Stay with me, because most people underestimate number 5, and it's where power silently flips. 1. Emotional non-reactivity. Manipulators feed on reaction. Anger gives them direction. Defensiveness gives them material. Emotional responses give them control. But when your reactions disappear, so does their roadmap. Imagine someone trying to provoke you, pushing for a response. And instead of escalating, you stay neutral, not cold, not rude, just steady. Something subtle happens in that moment. The conversation stops being a battlefield and becomes a dead end. Because without emotional movement, there is nothing to steer. Most people think power is loud. Real power is often quiet. 2. Clear, calm boundaries. Manipulators test limits the way pressure tests structure. They push a little, then a little more, watching for where you bend. What they don't expect is clarity. Simple language like, "That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that." No anger attached, no long explanation, just a line. When boundaries are emotional, they look negotiable. When boundaries are calm, they look structural. And people rarely try to push through what feels immovable. 3. The end of over-explaining. Over-explaining feels polite. It feels reasonable. But psychologically, it does something dangerous. It invites debate. The moment you begin defending your decision, the focus shifts from your choice to their approval. Instead of saying, "I can't come because I'm exhausted and overwhelmed," try, "I won't be able to make it." Then stop talking. Silence is uncomfortable at first, but incredibly powerful. Because what isn't explained cannot be dismantled. And without details to work with, manipulation loses traction. 4. Naming the behavior. Manipulation survives best in ambiguity. Half comments, subtle guilt, shifting narratives. But clarity changes the atmosphere immediately. Not accusations, just observation. "It sounds like you're trying to make me feel responsible for that." Or, "We seem to be changing the subject." Notice the tone. Not aggressive, not emotional, just precise. When behavior is calmly named, something important happens. The conversation moves from confusion to awareness. And awareness is where manipulation struggles to operate. 5. Detachment from approval. This is where the real shift begins. Many forms of control rely on one quiet assumption: that you need to be liked, seen as good, reasonable, selfless. So the manipulator applies pressure exactly there. "You're being selfish? You've changed. I thought you cared." And most people rush to repair that image. But the moment you become comfortable being misunderstood, the leverage disappears. Imagine responding with, "If that's how it looks from your side, I understand." No defense, no urgency. Because when approval is no longer your anchor, their ability to steer your behavior fades with it. Independence is difficult to influence. 6. Direct questions. Manipulation prefers fog. Vague expectations, unclear responsibility, implied obligations. Direct questions clear the air instantly. "What exactly are you asking for? Can you clarify what you mean? Why is that my responsibility?" Simple questions create structure, and structure makes hidden pressure visible. Most manipulators aren't prepared for calm clarity, because clarity removes the space their tactics depend on. When things are named directly, the dynamic becomes harder to bend. 7. Consistency. You can do everything right once and still be tested again, because inconsistency is often mistaken for flexibility. If a boundary holds today but collapses tomorrow, the lesson learned is simple. Push long enough, and it opens. Consistency communicates something stronger than words ever could. It signals that your responses are not emotional reactions, but part of who you are. Predictable, steady, reliable. And when someone realizes the pattern will not change, they usually do one of two things: adjust or look for easier ground. Either way, control loosens. Manipulation rarely announces itself. It works quietly, through reaction, explanation, and self-doubt. But once you see the patterns, you stop playing the role they rely on. You don't outmaneuver manipulation by becoming louder. You outgrow it by becoming less available to it. If this shifted the way you see certain interactions, that awareness is the beginning of control. And if you want to understand the patterns shaping human behavior, subscribe to Cage Protocol. We don't just observe the game, we learn how it's played.